Hi, I'm Trent Smith. I'm the NASA Veggie Project Manager here at Kennedy Space Center. Pretty much I try to make sure that we can grow crops in space.
And I'm Joya Massa. I'm a plant scientist here at Kennedy Space Center, and I'm one of the veggie scientists looking at how well plants grow in space, how nutritious they are, and how delicious they are.
Right. My background is I have a master's degree in chemistry, so I've had kind of a windy road to get over to project management for this team.
Yeah, I'm a plant scientist by training. I've been interested in doing plants and growing plants in space for a very long time, and so I've really only studied plants and don't know anything about anything else.
So on the space station we have Veggie, which is the garden the astronauts use to grow their food, and it's a fairly compact unit. It's about the size of a 2-drawer filing cabinet, and it's very simple. It just provides light and fans to allow the astronauts to grow their food.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we're looking at with Veggie, we're looking at new crops and how they grow in this space on Space Station. Veggie also has red, blue, and green LED lights, and so we're looking at how plants grow under different ratios of those lights to each other. So we have 2 Veggie units. We can do a lot of different research up there.
Right, and so some of the things that we're doing is we're growing new crops for the astronauts. We're looking to supplement their diet for nutrition and to prevent diet fatigue.
And also to add variety, yeah, flavor and new textures. So yeah, that's the diet fatigue Trent's talking about. You know, when you're eating the same thing over and over again for a long time, it gets a little tiring. Yeah. So adding something green and crispy and juicy could really, really enhance that.
Right, and so some of the new crops we've grown recently on Space Station are, we had the red Russian kale, which is a powerhouse for vitamin K, vitamin C. We had the wasabi mustard green, which is legitimately hot
and
spicy. Nutritious. And then we had a couple of the Fairchild crops grow. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so Fairchild students like you had selected a number of crops, and 2 of them that really rose to the top, literally, are the dragoon lettuce, which is a small heading lettuce variety. It grows really well. It's kind of a very tasty and very productive lettuce.
Right.
And then the extra dwarf pak choi, which is also a small, this is an Asian leafy green, and it's a pak choi or a bok choy variety. It stays fairly compact. It has big juicy stems or midribs of the leaves, and it's got great flavor and a lot of nutrition.
Right, like as much vitamin C as a Florida orange, if I remember right, by weight.
Awesome. So those have been growing on Space Station, and things grow a little bit differently in space than they do on Earth. But first we have to figure out what are good candidates for space, and that's why you guys are here.
Exactly. So the way that the Fairchild Challenge, and more importantly the Growing Beyond Earth Challenge, helps us is there are just a ton of crops out there, and we cannot test them all. And when we have hundreds of classrooms and student citizen scientists growing the plants under different conditions, and we aggregate that data, it is incredibly powerful for us to start selecting crops that we never even knew might be a good candidate.
Yeah, there are new crops coming out all of the time, and so we really rely on you to do this testing to help us understand, okay, this one, it's not going to work in space. Maybe it's really finicky about how it likes to be watered, or the temperatures that it likes, or the humidity that it likes. But this one is robust, and it worked in your classroom, in your classroom, in your classroom, and it grew really well in all these different environments. And so if we can find crops that are robust and do well in a lot of different places, that's hugely valuable. Then we take those crops and we bring them here to Kennedy Space Center, and we test them in our high-fidelity chambers, which mimic the conditions of the International Space Station in terms of temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide, and the conditions of Veggie in lighting and watering and nutrients. And if the crops do well in those environments, then they become really good candidates for spaceflight.
Yeah, I always say that if you can get crops to grow well in 50 classrooms, it'll probably grow in space.
In addition, we're learning a lot of horticultural techniques through the Fairchild Challenge program. So in the very first year of the program, students tested cut and come again harvesting. And what this is going back to the same plant repeatedly and taking leaves off the same plant and allowing it to regrow. And we saw the data from the Fairchild students, which showed that you could get more than double the produce from one plant than if you just harvested that plant one time. And so we said, hey, let's try that in space. And it was pretty successful.
It worked really well. And we were concerned that if you repeatedly wound a plant, would it perhaps get attacked microbially? And in all the different classrooms, things went very well. And of course, testing here went well.
Yep.
And they did it in space, 3 times?
And now we're still doing that. That's a regular part of our space station activities. So
all because of
Growing Beyond Earth
and student citizen scientists. So we just wanted to say thank you for participating in the Growing Beyond Earth Challenge, because this is real science. The answer's not in the back of the book. We don't know the answers. You're finding it out.
Yeah, we have a pretty small team here, and so we really depend on you and your teams to do this work and help us figure out what are the best candidates for flight. And the astronauts are depending on you for their future food supply. So it's a pretty important job we're tasking you with. But we appreciate all your efforts on this, because we know it's a lot of work, but we hope you also learn a lot and have a lot of fun.
Thank you.